that letting go of self-referential thought, i.e., my reputation, how I appear to others, etc., that is seeing through the illusion of the separate self, is it not, Rupert?
Yes, you could say that. If it's really going directly to the experience. If we go directly to the experience of simply being is our fundamental experience prior to thoughts, sensations, perceptions, that there is just the experience of being or the awareness of being. And that's always there, so to speak, in the background of experience, colored or obscured to a greater or lesser extent by thoughts, perceptions, sensations, and so on. So if we go, and the illusion, so normally we derive our sense of ourself. Everyone has a sense of being myself. And we all derive that from the fact of being. But most people's sense of their self is limited because our being is mixed with the content of experience, thoughts, images, feelings, and so on. So most people's sense of their self is a combination of their essential being, which is utterly intimate and yet impersonal, and the qualities of experience. And this mixture of our essential being and the qualities of experience makes for what's called the ego or the separate self, the illusory self. But as I said before, the illusory self is not non-existent. It is real, but it's not what it appears to be. What is it really? Pure being, utterly intimate, but impersonal and infinite. How does it appear? Temporary and finite. So in the progressive paths, you have to work your way back through all the illusory layers and finally end up with the awareness of being. In the direct path, we just go to the awareness of being. I mean, everyone has the experience of being. It's not, there's nothing, it's so simple. Everybody can say of their experience, I am. Well, all that's necessary is to take the thought I am before it is qualified by experience and just go to the experience of being to which it refers. And it is that cuts through the illusion of being a temporary, finite, separate self composed of thoughts and images and feelings. So in this very direct approach, we don't work through the illusion. We don't even investigate the illusion. We just go straight to the core feeling of being myself or I am, just the pure awareness of being. And if we can't look at that because we are it, but as Don said, if we know that by being that. And if we just go there, and if we were to try in our feeble way, if we were to try to describe that, there would be no limitations there. There'd be no qualities there. So it's that experience, if we can call it experience. It's a non-objective experience. It's that recognition that cuts through the illusion of being an ego, rather than cutting through the illusion of being an ego that leads to that experience. It's that experience. It's that cuts through the illusion of being a separate self.
Now, you do make it sound very simple, Rupert, and I understand
It
it
is
is.
simple.
I
It
understand it
is.
is. It is simple, but the mind does have a propensity to pop up and go, "Am I doing this right? Is this really it? How do I know?" Etc. Etc. So for that's certainly been my experience. Sometimes I'm like, I'm there, and then I'm not there, or
Yes.
so what to do then?
Well, as Don very nicely described, 20 years ago, to begin with, you close your eyes, you turn away from your experience of the world, and you just face a jungle of sensations, feelings, and thoughts. That's all there is. It's torture. But if you persist, and I don't mean in a if you in a skillful way, if you were, for instance, to ask yourself, but what is it that is aware of these thoughts and feelings? And that takes your attention one step further back. Initially, our attention is with the world. We close our eyes. Our attention is with our thoughts and feelings. But you then ask, but what is aware of these thoughts and feelings? That takes us one step back. And you may be only able to stay there 4 or 5 seconds to begin with before the thoughts and feelings take you away again. And then you lose yourself for 10 minutes, but then you ask yourself, but what is it that is aware of these? Or that's just one of question that you could ask. And with that question, again, you just take a brief step back. Oh, I am aware of them. These are not what I essentially am. They are what appear to me. And you keep going back and forth like that. And in time, you just find that you begin naturally, effortlessly, you begin to find yourself remaining as that in the face of your thoughts and feelings. The tyranny of thoughts and feelings lose their power over you. To begin with, they continue, but they lose their power over you. And in time, they just die down and until it becomes quite easy. As Don said, you just close your eyes and there's no methodology. You no longer have to ask yourself a question such as, who am I, or what is it that is aware of you? You just close your eyes and you just go straight back to being. And then when you're walking down the street, if your attention is not required by the world, or you pay the lightest attention to the world to make sure you don't step out in front of that bus, but the rest of your attention is with being. And it's simple. It's easy. I agree that to begin with, there is a little bit of a battle between our thoughts and feelings. And so we go back and forth. But in time, there's less and less back and forth until we begin to feel our being is not just something we visit from time to time, but it's where we begin to live. And then we're still capable of using, I loved your description, Don, there's less and less inclination to think just randomly but your thinking becomes a really fine tool which you use, and when you don't need it, you go back home, you go back to being.